All right. Good morning, everyone. We've talked about time value of money for investments before, where how the access to income sooner than later is worth potentially more, because as you know, money today is worth more than money tomorrow. We talked about the investments, how to go about that using depreciation and stuff to actually increase your yield on your investments. One thing I think that a lot of agents don't do is take that same criteria to their own business and really think of it not so much as money coming in today versus tomorrow, but your time is your value. Time, value, and money all equate to the same thing, especially as an agent. As an agent, time is pretty much all you have to offer, your time and skill and your analysis. So you're not selling necessarily a product, you are brokering a product. So your time is valuable. So when you do take that into account, you want to make sure that the time that you spend is worth the time that it takes to get the deal done. And by that, a couple things that we always talk about agents and what they should do and shouldn't do is that first start off, think about how much money that you want to make. Okay, in a year, if it's $100,000 your first year, what does that equate to on an hourly basis on a typical 40-hour week? It's about $45 an hour. Okay, for $100,000. So think about that, and that every hour that you spend, you are essentially using that $45 that you could have been earning. So, if you're using that time to, surf the web, do things, whatever, you're losing out on what you could actually earn as income. Also take into account, it goes back to qualifying your deals, qualifying your transactions. If you spend 10 hours with a client and realize that, they're not qualified for this deal to happen, you just wasted $450. Okay? So your time is your value. Take a look at it that way. Other ways to apply this as well is when you get to a certain level and you are earning that income, is what you're doing worth the time that you're spending on it? Meaning, if you're making, let's say, $250,000 a year, equivalent to about $200 an hour, is your time best spent databasing? Or should you just hire someone to do that for you at a much lower cost? And then you can concentrate on what brings you money, which is business development. So, looking at and analyzing everything that you're doing as an agent and translating that to how much am I actually, what is this costing me? Now granted, there are certain cases and this also goes into the size of the deal. You want to make sure it's worth your time and your effort that you're going to be paid for your skills and what you bring to the table. If the commission is only a couple $1,000s and it's going to take weeks to get the deal done, it may not be worth it. Okay, so you have to pick and choose your clients. That's actually the biggest strength that any agent has. I shouldn't say strength, the most power any agent has. And I think a lot of agents, especially new agents, don't understand this or realize this, is you get to choose who you work with. That's the most power that you have. You don't have to take every deal that comes your way, nor do you have to work with every client that comes your way. Now, there are trade-offs, of course, and you have to kind of take a look at it. And I'm not one to count their chickens before the eggs are hatched. But at the same time, understand the value of what you're working on. If your client's only looking for a few hundred square feet as a pop-up or a couple thousand square feet as a pop-up, if it's a quick engagement and you can turn that around in a week or so, then it might be worth doing. But if it's something that's going to take your time and your effort and away from doing larger deals, then you're actually losing money. So you want to take all that into consideration when you're looking at your business, how you go about your business, and how you plan your business on a day-to-day basis. So, any questions? Oh. Yes?
How do you think about valuing your time, not your time, but more or less how much you're going to make through how much transactions you do based on shooting like say I want to take home $1 million gross, just hypothetical number, I would need to sell $50 million worth of real estate. And how do you feel about judging your work ethic by dividing up that 50 million?
Well, it's not so much judging your work ethic, it's more about using your time wisely. So if you're looking at that if you're looking to do $50 million in sales, and with assuming about an average of 2% commission to get you that $1 million gross, then what you're going to do is you're actually going to start looking at each one of the deals that you are working on and really how much time does it take? Meaning if you're going to spend 70% of your time for an entire year on a deal that's $30 million, it may be worth it. But at the same time, if you're going to spend 70% of your time that's a $2 million deal, it may not be worth it because that's not going to get you to your ultimate goal. The way I look at it also is you can backtrack it. Meaning, if you're looking at, I need to do $50 million in deals, what's your average deal size? Let's say it's, what, 4 million is your average deal size in this submarket. Or even let's lower that down to 2 million. That's an average of 25 deals then that you need to do in that deal. Actually, 50, to do 50 million, yeah, you need to do roughly 25 deals in that year. To get that 25 deals in that year, then work backwards. You know, the nice part about real estate or sales in general is the numbers tend to reflect across the board. They are averages and you can potentially do better, but you work back and say, if I need 25 deals, that means I need at least 50 listing appointments. To get 50 listing appointments, I need to make, I need to talk to at least, on average, 300 to 500 people, serious people, to convert that to an actual listing appointment and then do those listing appointments. To talk to those 300 to 500 people, then I need roughly 3,000 to 5,000 calls that year. And you can break that up into, if I need, let's call it 5,000 calls, or, and we're going to do a 50 work week, I need to do 1,000 calls that week, as you're getting there. So it depends on your price point and what you're doing, but you can also backtrack out how much, if you want to make that kind of money, what do you need to do to get there? Okay, because the numbers tend to play true. Now, if the numbers aren't playing true to you, then you have to reevaluate your sales pitch or what you're doing and to figure out, well, how do we get those appointments? Because ultimately, you're not going to sell anybody over the phone. You are looking for an appointment to give a presentation to either list the property or to convert them over to a buyer. So, and same goes for leasing. You can break that down by square footage, who are your clients, who do you want to target, how much, and you should understand all of that. Now, it's not an analysis that you should do every single deal necessarily, because you'll already understand, is this worth it, is this not worth it? I know agents that do $50, $100 million a year in sales. And, they do sales ranging from $700,000 all the way up to $10 million. It's about the time they spend on those sales. Okay? So, and that's what you have to take a look at and analyze and figure out what works best for you. Okay? Any other questions? Yes?
Obviously, time management is crucial for all agents, but when it comes to deals being worth your time, can you also give the same recommendation for new agents just coming in?
Absolutely, especially for new agents. Because, a lot of times a new agent will look for work to do to look busy or to be busy, as opposed to working toward the goal of their end career. And which is, the reason we're in this business is not to be busy. We're in this business to make a living, make money. So when it comes down to that with younger agents, understand that time management, yes, is extremely key for any agent. And you can look at it as a pipeline where you have your new business that you're working on going into that pipeline, starting into your business flow. Halfway through the pipeline, consider that like deals that you're currently working on, actual deals and people that you're working with, either in escrow or touring as a leasing agent, however it may be. And then the end of the pipeline are the deals closing. So as time management, if you focus on just any one of those areas, you're eventually going to have a trickle somewhere along the lines. Like if I focus just on the closings and don't focus on new business, then I'm not going to have new business after my closings close. If I focus just on the escrows, yes, that will end to the closing, but it also has the same issue of I'm not going to have new business once I go through all these deals. So you have to break up your day and concentrate. Now, new agents may not have deals that they're working on, and they may not have the escrows coming out, but they're still going to have to break up their time. Most of their time, 80-90% should be toward business development because they don't have business. And from there, what you're going to want to do, though, is as a new agent, is then break up the other time for the other stuff that you can potentially get you business, whether it's marketing, branding, organization, databasing, things like that. Just understand, though, that choose the times wisely. So when you do that, meaning, if the best times to get a hold of someone is from 9 o'clock until 11:30 for a good conversation, and then from maybe 1:30 after the lunch hour till maybe 4 o'clock, then do your other stuff outside of those hours. Do your business development, your calls during the best time, obviously during the best times when you can reach somebody, and then do your databasing when it's harder to reach someone. Do your marketing when it's not necessarily it's at lunchtime maybe, or right before lunch, between that 11:30 12 o'clock window. Work on your marketing right after lunch between 12 and 1:30, return calls and do that kind of stuff, and then focus back on business development during the hours that you are best able to reach the clients that you're trying to reach. Okay. Anything else?